It's funny how life sometimes unfolds in ways you'd never expect. I never thought I'd be here, telling this story, especially after everything that's happened. I guess it all started at that party. One of those work parties where everyone's there to network, but let's be real, it's mostly just a way to let off some steam. I didn't really want to go, but my husband, Matt, insisted. He said it would be good for me to socialize, to connect with people, and honestly, I didn't want to be the nagging wife who says no to everything. So, I put on the dress, did my makeup, and went. I was a little uncomfortable from the start. Maybe it's because I didn't know anyone there well, but I'm sure you've been in that situation where you just feel out of place. Matt was doing his thing, chatting with people, making deals, shaking hands. He's that guy who's always so confident, always the life of the party. It's one of the things I love about him, but that night, I wasn't feeling it. I just wanted to sit in a corner and nurse my drink. So, I did, and that's when I met Jake. He wasn't anything special at first glance. Tall, nice-looking, definitely confident in his own way. But he was different. He noticed me, and for the first time that night, I felt seen. He made some small talk about the party, about how everyone was either pretending to be working or just getting too drunk too quickly. And honestly, I found it funny. We ended up chatting for a bit, and I felt like I could actually talk to him without the usual pressure of pretending to fit in. Matt didn't even notice me slipping away. I could see him across the room, surrounded by his usual crowd, so absorbed in whatever conversation he was having. I didn't think twice when Jake suggested we grab a drink somewhere quieter. Honestly, I wasn't even sure what I was doing. It was like I was on autopilot, just going along with whatever felt right in the moment. We stepped outside to the patio, the cool evening air hitting my skin after being in that stuffy room for so long. Jake ordered us drinks, and we just started talking about everything and nothing. For a while, it felt nice to be away from the pressures of Matt's world. To just exist without having to fit into some mold or be someone I wasn't. Jake didn't make me feel like I was just the wife of some guy at a party. He made me feel like I mattered for me. The conversation started to shift, slowly. It went from casual to more personal. I won't lie. I started to feel a little buzzed. That feeling of being free, of not caring so much. The music from inside the party was muffled by the walls, and the more we drank, the more I relaxed. I could feel Jake's eyes on me in a way that was different than before. And at some point, I stopped questioning it. It happened so fast. One moment we were talking, laughing about something stupid, and the next thing I knew, his lips were on mine. I don't even think I pulled away. I just kissed him back. And that kiss, God, it was like something out of a movie. I didn't want it to stop. My mind was telling me to pull away, that this was wrong, that I was married, but the rest of me was already lost in the moment. My heart was racing, and for once, I wasn't thinking about Matt. I wasn't thinking about anything but that kiss, and how it felt to be desired. I don't remember how long we were out there, but at some point we were inside again. It was like nothing had happened, like it was just a normal continuation of the night. I was tipsy and disoriented, and maybe a part of me hoped it was all just a mistake, something that would fade by the time I got home. But as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling. That kiss, that moment, was still with me. The worst part, I didn't even notice my pantyhose had torn. It wasn't until later, when I was heading out with Matt, that I realized it. A small thing, but it's funny how details like that stick with you. He didn't say anything, but I could feel him looking at me in a way that felt off, like he knew something was different, even though I hadn't done anything to give myself away. At that moment, I just wanted to escape, get home, and pretend that the night hadn't happened. But I couldn't shake it. The guilt, the shame. I knew I had crossed a line, but at the same time, I couldn't deny that it felt good. It felt freeing. Like I was more than just Matt's wife. Like I was something else entirely. Something I hadn't felt in so long. And that's when it all started to spiral. I don't know what I expected after that night, but I certainly didn't expect it to feel so heavy. Matt didn't bring it up, but I could feel the tension in the air when we got home. It wasn't like the usual vibe after a night out. There was no casual conversation about the party or recap of who we talked to. No talk about our plans for the weekend, or anything that usually followed a night like that. It was just quiet. I spent the next few days pretending that nothing had happened. I didn't bring up Jake again. I didn't let my mind wander to that kiss, but every time I looked at Matt, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. It was like I was living a double life. With Matt, everything was fine on the surface, but in the back of my mind, I kept replaying that moment with Jake. That moment where I was wanted. That moment where I felt alive in a way I hadn't in ages. The guilt started eating at me. At first, it was a dull ache. I could ignore it for a while, but after a few days, it turned into something I couldn't ignore anymore. I started resenting myself for what I'd done, but at the same time, I couldn't quite get rid of that rush I'd felt. That rush of feeling seen, of being desired by someone who didn't know all my flaws, who wasn't stuck seeing me as a wife or a mother or whatever role I was supposed to play. With Jake, I was just me, and that felt dangerous. I tried to focus on work, on the kids, on anything to distract myself. But every time I went to bed next to Matt, I felt this distance between us. It wasn't that he was doing anything different. He was still sweet, still loving, but I could feel the emotional gap growing between us. I think I was pulling away, and I didn't know how to stop it. The guilt, the shame, it made me feel so alone. I never had an affair before, never even considered it. I was that girl, the one who would never betray her partner. And yet, here I was, thinking about it constantly. I kept wondering what would happen if Matt ever found out. Would he forgive me? Would he understand that I didn't mean for it to go as far as it did? But that was the problem, wasn't it? I wasn't sure I understood why it happened. All I knew was that in that moment with Jake, I felt something that I hadn't felt in so long. It was like I was waking up from a long, numb sleep. It wasn't long before Jake texted me. At first, I thought about ignoring it, but then I found myself reading the message. Had fun the other night. You looked amazing. Still thinking about that kiss. And then came the follow-up text a day later. I know you're probably busy, but I wanted to check in. I'd love to see you again sometime. I didn't reply right away, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. What would it be like? What would it feel like to see him again? To feel that excitement, that attraction again? A part of me knew it was wrong, but another part of me felt like I needed it. I felt like I deserved it. For once, I wanted to be the one who was wanted, who was pursued. I wanted to be seen for more than just my role in Matt's life. I wanted to feel alive. But I also couldn't ignore the part of me that was terrified. Terrified of what it would mean if I went down this path. The consequences. The destruction. I didn't respond to Jake's texts for a while. But the thing is, once that door is cracked open, it's hard to close it again. I could feel myself slipping. I was walking a fine line between feeling alive and knowing that everything I had built with Matt could come crashing down in an instant if I didn't stop. Matt, of course, had no idea. He was still wrapped up in his work, still caught up in whatever new deal he was closing. It was like I was becoming a shadow in his life. And I hated that, but at the same time, I didn't know how to change it. I felt like I couldn't ask him to give me the attention I wanted, because that would be selfish, right? He was busy, and I knew that. I should have been content with what we had. But I wasn't. One day, Jake sent me a message that changed everything. It wasn't just a flirty text. It was an invitation. I'm free this weekend. We should grab dinner. Just the two of us. No pressure. Just, let's talk. I think you know what I mean. At that moment, I froze. Everything in me was screaming to delete the message, to block him, to move on and try to fix what was wrong with me. But instead, I found myself typing out a reply. I'll think about it. And that was it. I'd taken the first step, even if I didn't want to admit it. I had made the decision to keep the door open, to keep the possibility alive. And for the first time in a long while, I felt something stir in me. Something exciting, something dangerous. And I wasn't sure if I could stop it. It's strange how quickly things can change. One moment you're in control, or at least you think you are. And then the next, it all slips away from you without warning. That weekend, I didn't go to dinner with Jake. Not right away, anyway. But that was when Matt's suspicions started to grow. He started noticing things. Little things. Things I didn't even think about. Like how often I'd be lost in my phone, scrolling through messages I didn't want him to see. How my smile felt forced at times, how I'd pull away when he kissed me, almost like I was suddenly a stranger to him. I'm sure it didn't help that I was a little more distant than usual, lost in my own world of guilt and desire. I didn't want to admit it, but I couldn't deny the fact that the more I ignored Jake, the more I thought about him. Then it happened. I remember the night Matt came to me. He was acting different, quieter, maybe more tense. I should have known something was off, but I kept pretending like everything was fine, hoping it would just go away. But Matt didn't let it go. He never did. We were sitting on the couch after dinner, and I could tell he was on edge. He turned to me, his eyes scanning my face for a long moment before he spoke. His voice was calm, but there was something in it that made my stomach drop. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice unusually soft. "I've noticed you've been different lately. You've been distant." I tried to brush it off, give him a half smile, but it didn't work. He didn't buy it. "Talk to me," he said, leaning in. "I've something going on. You can tell me you know that." And that was it. The walls I had built started crumbling. I couldn't lie to him, not when he was looking at me like that. Not when I knew he had started to notice. The guilt hit me harder than I thought it would. "I'm fine," I whispered, but even I didn't believe it. Matt wasn't buying it. He sighed and looked away for a moment before he turned back, his gaze sharper this time. "Is this about Jake?" I froze. My heart stopped. My blood went cold. How the hell did he know? Did I say something? Did I give something away? My mind raced, but I couldn't find the words to respond. I was speechless, paralyzed. He must have seen my reaction, because his voice became more serious. "I know you've been texting him. I didn't want to bring it up, but I've seen the messages. I saw you at that party too." I couldn't breathe. Everything in me screamed at me to explain myself, but the words wouldn't come. The guilt, the shame, it was suffocating. "Matt, I started, but he held up his hand. "You don't have to say anything. I already know," he said quietly. He wasn't yelling, but the hurt in his voice cut deeper than any angry words could. "I can't believe you'd do this to me. I trusted you." I felt my stomach churn. I had betrayed him. I had betrayed us. The life we built together. The love we had. It meant nothing to me at that moment. Or maybe I was so consumed by my own selfish need for something new, something exciting, that I couldn't see the damage I was causing. "I didn't mean for it to happen, Matt," I whispered, barely able to meet his eyes. "It just happened." I could see the pain in his eyes as he stared at me, and it hit me harder than anything I had felt in a long time. I had broken him, and I couldn't take it back. "You don't get to say that," he said, his voice low. "You don't get to make it sound like it was some accident. You chose this. You chose to kiss him. You chose to let him in." I nodded, my throat tightening. "I know. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't think it would get this far." But the damage had already been done. The trust we had, everything that had made us us, was gone. And I couldn't get it back. "I don't know if I can forgive you," he said after a long silence. His words were like a knife to the chest. "I need some space, Laura. I don't know what we're supposed to do now. I don't know if we can fix this." And that was it. The moment the reality hit. The moment I realized that what I had done wasn't just a mistake. It was something I couldn't undo. I tried to reach out to him to explain, but Matt pulled away. It was like he was a different person, and I didn't know how to reach him anymore. And that hurt. More than anything, I had lost him. The worst part was that I couldn't stop thinking about Jake. I couldn't shake the image of his face, of that kiss, of the way he made me feel. It was like a drug, and I was addicted to it. I knew I should have cut ties, told him it was over, but the thought of it made me feel empty. Matt and I didn't talk much after that. He was distant, and I didn't know how to fix what I had broken. But then one night, a text came through from Jakey. I stared at the message for a long time, feeling the pull of temptation in my chest. "I miss you. We should meet up soon." I felt torn, guilty, but also wanting the excitement, the thrill. But at that moment, I realized something. It wasn't about Jake. It wasn't about the kiss. It was about me. I had been running from something. Myself, maybe. My insecurities, my need for validation. And all of it had led me to this moment. I thought about what Matt had said, the hurt in his voice, and I realized that, no matter how much I wanted to ignore it, I had to face what I had done. I couldn't keep running. I couldn't keep pretending. And that's when I knew I had to make a choice. It was one of those long, silent days after everything had gone down with Matt. He was barely speaking to me, only communicating when it was necessary. I could feel the weight of the guilt pressing on my chest every second. The tension so thick between us that it felt like a physical barrier. I didn't know how to fix things, or even if they could be fixed. I had crossed a line, and as much as I wanted to pretend it hadn't happened, I knew there was no way around it. The worst part was that I couldn't stop thinking about Jake. I'd blocked him. I'd tried to delete all the messages. But every time my mind wandered, it would land right back on him. His face, his smile, the feeling of his lips on mine. I couldn't deny that it had felt so alive, a feeling I hadn't had in years. But that wasn't the real problem, was it? The real problem was that I had let myself fall into something I knew I shouldn't have. I'd let myself get lost in the excitement, in the rush of attention, and in doing so, I had hurt the one person I promised to love and respect. Matt was right when he said I chose this. I made decisions. I chose to talk to Jake, chose to keep the conversation going, chose to kiss him, chose to push my boundaries. And now, I had to deal with the consequences of my actions. I knew I had to tell Matt everything, but the thought of it terrified me. How could I explain myself in a way that would make any sense? How could I ask him to forgive me when I didn't even know if I could forgive myself? But then again, what other choice did I have? I could keep avoiding the truth, keep pretending everything was fine, but I knew that would only drive us further apart. I decided I needed to talk to him, not just for my own peace of mind, but for him too. I owed him that much, didn't I? The man who had stood by me for all these years, who had loved me unconditionally, and I had betrayed him. I needed to at least give him the chance to decide if we could move forward, or if we would just end it. It wasn't easy to find the right words. When I finally found him sitting alone in the living room, his eyes were downcast, and he was staring at his phone, his face closed off. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of where to begin, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending that things were okay. I walked over and sat beside him, taking a deep breath before I spoke. Matt, I started, my voice small. I owe you an apology, a real one. I know I've already apologized for what happened with Jake, but I need to tell you everything, the whole truth. He looked up at me, but his expression was guarded. He didn't say anything. He just waited, and I could see the pain in his eyes. The raw hurt that I had caused. I was selfish. I was so caught up in my own need to feel wanted that I lost sight of what really mattered. I continued, feeling the tears welling up in my eyes. I didn't mean for any of it to happen, but it did. And I don't know how to make it right. But I need you to know that what I did wasn't because I didn't love you. I do love you, Matt, but I've been lost. And I made a horrible mistake. His face didn't soften, but I could tell he was listening. He didn't interrupt me, even though I could see the emotion bubbling just beneath the surface. I could tell he was trying to process everything I was saying. I've been thinking about it a lot, I said, my voice trembling. And I know I can't undo what I've done, but I want to try. I want to make it right. I'll do whatever it takes, but I need you to tell me what you need. If you want space, if you want to end this, I'll respect that. I don't want to lose you. I waited, holding my breath. Every second of silence felt like an eternity. Finally, Matt spoke, his voice hoarse. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, Laura. He ran a hand through his hair and let out a deep sigh. You hurt me more than I ever thought possible. You've made it clear that you're willing to throw everything we have away for someone else. For a kiss, for something that doesn't even matter. I nodded, my chest aching. I know, and I hate myself for it. But I swear to you, Matt, I didn't mean for it to go that far. I didn't mean to destroy what we have. He looked away, his jaw clenched tight. I could see the anger and hurt swirling inside him. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't even know if I want to try. His voice was filled with a mix of sorrow and frustration. I felt my heart breaking in real time. But then, he sighed again, this time more defeated, But I also don't know if I'm ready to just give up on everything either. I need time, Laura. I can't promise you anything right now. But I'll need you to prove to me that you're serious about fixing this. No more lies. No more running. Just the truth. His words felt like a small glimmer of hope. But I knew it was only the beginning of a long road ahead. There was so much to rebuild. Trust, love, and understanding, and I didn't know if we could do it. But I also knew I had to give it everything I had, because Matt was worth it. He was still worth it. I can do that, I said softly, reaching for his hand. I'll do whatever it takes. Matt didn't respond right away, but he didn't pull his hand away either, and that for now was enough. It was a start. A very small start, but it was a start. And maybe, just maybe, that's all we needed.